Hi, welcome to another edition of Carpenter Shop. Once again, we're going to take a couple of minutes and think about some things that will help grow us, hopefully. Just as Jesus grew in the Carpenter Shop, you have the opportunity to grow and maybe say a few things that will say some things that will kind of just encourage you, spark you, get you to dig just a little bit deeper into this journey that God has you on. In America, when people reach that magical number of 65 to 70, somewhere in there, they start thinking about changes. Sometimes they start thinking about this thing called retirement. Along the way, they'll apply for Social Security, Medicare. They'll transition to a different style of life. Now, sadly, with those changes comes a change in self-perception, and this is the problem. The change in perception is that my productive years are now over. My strength is waning. My best years are done. Now, I know no one sets out to retire and feel that way, but yet that is the thought that sometimes comes along. Biblically, that's not what happens. Matter of fact, when you start thinking about retirement, there's a fellow in the Old Testament by the name of Caleb who would say, "What's that?" Caleb is a guy who in his 80s is wanting to do battle and fight for this promised land that God has for him. He was one of the original spies who, along with Joshua back in the book of Numbers, that Moses sent in to look at the promised land for the very first time. And once he had a vision of what God had for him, he was never willing to stop doing the things that would get him to that place. I think that's one of the keys to learning how to age gracefully and live to the fullest the life that God has for you. Always keep your focus on God and keep in mind the things that God has for you, and then you'll never be satisfied with anything less than the best. Retirement, by the way, is not a biblical word. Change is, transition certainly is, but not retirement. And so, if you're a follower, don't boldly talk about wanting to retire. You don't get to do that. That's not in the Bible. Instead, you get to live a life of faithfulness, and you get to live a life of becoming who it is that God has called you to be. In Joshua 14:11, it says this, "I am just as strong on this day as the day that Moses sent me out. Just as my strength was in, so my strength for war, both going out and for coming in, is still the same." That's Caleb's testimony. What's yours? Make sure that you're doing your best each day to fight to be that person that God has created you to be. I look forward to joining you next time here in the Carpenter Shop.